The Ashes of the Blood Moon, narrated by Alice. Chapter 10. The Broken Vow. The air was thick with scorched earth and magic. Ash swirled around Seraphine and Malachi like falling snow, but the battlefield was silent now, save for the labored breath of the one knight left alone. Sir Gideon knelt among the ruins, his armor half melted. Sword cracked down the center. His once pristine cloak was torn and blood-soaked, his golden hair matted with soot. He looked up at them, at her, with something unexpected in his eyes. Not hatred, not rage. It was grief. You are not what the Order told us you would become, he said. Seraphine, I remember you, before you vanished into the forest, before the prophecy. Seraphine narrowed her eyes. You remember me as a girl who ran from the pirates, from your gods. You were a child, Gideon said, and I was young and afraid we all were. Malachi stepped forward, jaw tense, but Seraphine raised a hand to stop him. Speak, knight, before I decide what to do with you. Gideon lowered his gaze. The triumvirate said you would bring the world into shadow, that your bond with the demon prince would tear open the gate of dread. And do you believe that now? She asked. He hesitated. I believe. I saw you spare me when you could have incarnated my soul. That your magic, for all its darkness, is controlled. And that your bond, now he looked at Malachi, is deeper than mere lust or rebellion. Malachi tilted his head, golden eyes narrowing. You speak of love like a curse. No, Gideon said quietly. I speak of it like prophecy. Later, inside the sanctuary ruins, Gideon sat beneath the old altar, bandaged, guarded by wards, but no longer chained. Seraphine watched him from across the chamber, arms crossed. He spoke without looking up. There is more in the prophecy than the Order told me. I read it once, the true version, hidden in the forbidden codex of Solan's flame. Seraphine's breath caught. You have seen it? He nodded slowly. The blood moon would rise when the witch of twilight binds her soul to the flame-born hair of the underworld. Together they would become the key, not the destroyers, but the balance, the gatekeepers. Gatekeepers of what? Malachi asked, stepping from the shadows behind her. Gideon's eyes lifted, steady now. Off the threshold, the barrier between the mortal world and the true abyss. Seraphine's pulse quickened. You mean what lies beneath even the hells? Gideon nodded. Something older than demons or gods. Something that wants out. A long silence followed. Finally, Seraphine spoke. And you plan to run back to your masters with this? No, Gideon said. I plan to help you stop it. Chapter 11. The Vision Beneath the Moon. The sky bled silver as the blood moon waned, casting pale light over the camp where Seraphine slept. Malachi stood watch, one hand resting on the hilt of his obsidian dagger, the other gently touching a lock of her black hair, coiled over her shoulder like midnight silk. She looked peaceful, but inside her mind was unraveling. She dreamed. A dream that wasn't hers. Smoke coiled around her, thick as velvet. A temple crumbled beneath a red sky, its obsidian spire split by lightning. Shadows moved through the flames, cloaked, chanting figures. And at their center a child, a girl with violet eyes. She was Seraphine. The order. In the dream she was bound by silver cords. One man raised a blade of bone to her throat, while another whispered, "She must die before the eclipse. The demon must never claim her." Suddenly the fire roared, and out stepped Malachi, wreathed in gold flames, unbound, his form not monstrous but divine, his wings stretched like a storm cloud. His golden eyes burned through the shadows. "She is mine," he said, voice echoing in thousands of tongues. "And I will unmake your gods." Then came the scream, the child's scream, and Seraphine awoke with a start, gasping. Malachi was there at once, crouched beside her, hand braced to her back. "You saw them," he said, reading her panic before she spoke. She could barely breathe. "The order, they were going to kill me as a child. They knew who I was even then. The prophecy." Malachi's eyes narrowed. "You were never supposed to know. Tell me." He hesitated, but Seraphine leaned close, gripping his hand. "No more lies, Malachi. If I'm to walk into darkness, I do it with both eyes open." He exhaled sharply, the gold in his eyes flickering. "The prophecy says you are the key. The only your blood, witch-born and cursed, can unseal the prison of the first flame. They believe if I touch that power, I will destroy the realms." "And you?" she whispered. "What do you believe?" He looked at her as if the truth tasted like ash. I believe. I was never meant to care, but I do. Their fingers laced together, and Seraphine's pulse steadied. I have to find that temple, she said. The place in my vision, that's where it all began. Malachi nodded. Then we begin the journey, but it lies beyond the ruins of Kyle Tor, where magic is corrupted and creatures feed on memory. You must be ready to face what you have forgotten. Seraphine stood, her black skirts brushing the dirt, her pentagram pendant gleaming. Then we go into the dark, together. And as they disappeared into the night, the blood moon glowed faintly behind a veil of clouds, watching and waiting. Chapter 12. The Ruins That Remember. The forest thinned into a scared wasteland where the trees stood black and dead, their bark edged with forgotten runes. Kyle Tor loomed ahead, crumbling towers of stone rising from cracked earth like the bones of some long-dead beast. Mist rolled across the ground, thick with voices that didn't belong to living. Seraphine, Malachi, and Gideon stood at the threshold. "You are certain this is the place?" Gideon asked, his voice subdued as he gazed upon the ruins. His golden armor had been stripped down to worn leathers. The sun-worn knight looked less like a soldier and more like a man haunted by too many truths. "Yes, I saw it in the vision," Seraphine murmured. "This is where they tried to break me, where the prophecy was carved into flesh and silence." Malachi's eyes flicked toward the towers. "This place reeks of sorcery, older than either of us. Even has tread carefully here." As they crossed into the ruins, the air changed, thickened. Magic hung in it like dust, tasting of iron and sorrow. The moment Seraphine stepped past the shattered gate, the ground pulsed beneath her feet. "Do you feel that?" she whispered. Kyle Tor remembered her. Suddenly the mist coiled around them, and the whispers turned to screams. Flash, a girl, maybe 6, crying in a circle of chalk, men in silver robes chanting. Flash, blood smeared across ancient stones. Flash, a young Gideon, barely a teen, watching from the shadows, sword shaking in his hand as Seraphine was dragged into the ritual. She gasped and fell to her knees. "I was here. They tried to sacrifice me." Gideon knelt beside her, pale. "I was told it was to protect the world, that your blood would call forth ruin." Malachi's voice was a growl. They lied to you. No, Seraphine stood, trembling, eyes wide. They didn't, not entirely. At the center of the ruins was a dais, once an altar, now cracked. Beneath it, half buried in roots, was a seal, glowing faintly red. Seraphine stepped forward. That's where the gate is, not the physical one, but the echo of it, the lock. Malachi's gaze darkened. If this seal breaks, it will awaken the first flame. The Order feared it for reason. The Order feared it for a reason. Gideon swallowed. But what if the prophecy isn't about unleashing destruction? What if it's about stopping it? Seraphine turned to him, her violet eyes steady. Then I need to unseal the truth, even if it burns me alive. She placed her hand on the stone, and the ground screamed. Magic erupted from the seal in threads of light and shadow, winding around her arm, dragging her mind deeper into the past. Inside her vision, a voice spoke, soft and terrible. The key must choose. To open the gate is to bind her soul forever. To deny it is to shatter the world slowly. But she is not alone. She is bound to flame. Seraphine saw Malachi, young, lost, and powerful. She saw him bleeding as a child at the edge of hell, screaming her name without knowing it. Two souls, marked long before meeting. A bond crafted not by chance, but fate. She opened her eyes. Someone made this bond. She whispered. We were forged long ago. Malachi looked stricken. Then whoever did this, they planned everything, even us. Gideon stepped forward. Then it's time we find out why. Chapter 13. The One Who Remembers. The seal pulsed red for a final time, then went still. Seraphine stepped back, her fingers trembling. She could still hear the voice from the vision, still feel the echo of magic threading through her bones. Behind her, Malachi stood silent, tense as a bowstring. Even Gideon had drawn his blade again, though the mist had calmed. Something had changed. The ruin was no longer dead. It was awake. Then came the voice, smooth, cold, feminine. Little Seraphine, you've grown into your magic, I see. From behind a broken column, a figure stepped into view. She was tall, statuesque, with ink-dark skin and gold rings adorning her fingers. Her eyes were bright crimson, and her gown shimmered with threads of shadow. Her hair was braided with bones. But it was her presence that sent ice through Seraphine's blood. "Who are you?" she asked, though she already felt the answer in her bones. "I am called Nitera," the woman said, gliding closer. "High oracle of the hollow flame, keeper of the first prophecy, and once your mother's blood sister." Seraphine froze. "My mother is dead." Nitera smiled, showing teeth. "Yes, I know. I watched her burn." A flicker of silver light flared in Seraphine's hands, unbidden. Malachi stepped forward, golden eyes blazing. "You are from the Hollow Flame cult. You helped carve the gate." "I did more than that," Nitera said. "I kept it hidden from centuries. But your meddling has stirred the old ward's child, and now the gate's heartbeat quickens." She turned her gaze to Malachi. "And you, still clinging to your mortal side? Ha, quiet. You were born to reign in flame, yet here you are, playing the protector." "Step back," he growled, wings flicking open in warning. Nitera tilted her head. "You don't remember me, do you?" Malachi's jaw tightened. "Should I?" Nitera stepped forward, brushing her fingertips across one of the old carved runes. "You were born in the chamber beneath this ruin. You cried with the voice of 1,000 crows. Your father, Lord Varion, offered your soul to the hollow flame, and I was the one who bound you." Seraphine's stomach dropped. "You created the bond between us." Nitera smiled. "It was never about love. It was about power. 2 vessels, 1 gate, 1 fate. But you have made things complicated." Gideon finally stepped forward. "Then why revere yourself now?" Nitera's smile vanished. "Because I have come to end it." Darkness coiled at her feet like smoke. A blade formed in her hand, black, burning with purple flame. "You have awakened the gate's memory, Seraphine. Now it will hunger. If you will not embrace your purpose, you will be consumed by it." She raised the blade, and the ground split. The ruins erupted in a shockwave of magic as skeletal guardians rose from beneath the stone, their eyes glowing red. Malachi threw his arms around Seraphine and Gideon, dragging them behind a wall of flame. "Run," he said, voice like thunder. "This is not a fight we win today." But now, as they vanished into the lower catacombs, Nitera's laughter echoed after them, high and cruel. Ha 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 ha! You can't run from prophecy, little witch. The blood moon rises again, and this time you will open the gate with your heart. Ha 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 ha!